Over the launch weekend, the players have provided a lot of feedback, and GGG has actually already reacted with changes. This has been released right now, and we will go over the early access post-launch feedback list that they have posted right here. The link will be down in the description. These changes actually are either already live without a realm restart or are being deployed later this week. We have dodge roll changes. It was an issue very early on, especially not so much late game, and as you learn how to navigate monsters and not get stuck, it was an issue that you get surrounded extremely easily. This is now being offset a little bit, with the player size now being set to 0 units while dodge rolling instead of 1 unit. This allows us to push some smaller monsters away, and for example the adorned beetles in Keth, which should also then apply to the beetles in general, which are also present in the Trial of the Sekima. So if you had problems with dodge rolling out of surrounding encounters, this should now be a little bit easier. And insane change, very good reaction to the feedback over the launch weekend, in my opinion. Then we have a great feature as well with the checkpoint changes. I've seen a lot of people suggest exactly what they done here, which is when you click on a checkpoint, you can now teleport to other already unlocked checkpoints inside of an area that you have already explored. In my opinion, this hasn't really been a big issue, but it is definitely going to speed up some very big maps like the Azak Bog, for example, or the Valley of the Titans, where you can now teleport from checkpoint to checkpoint very easily. In my opinion, a very great change. Especially this one right here, a checkpoint has been added to the midpoint of the first Dreadnought area. Dreadnought area has been a bane to a lot of people. I think with a checkpoint in the middle, it is going to make it much easier. Then a broader topic called item changes. They have identified a few key areas that they are going to change, which then significantly improve the experience. Obviously, all of the little gears that are working here together need to be fine-tuned extremely well so that it doesn't get obnoxious in late game. So what they did is they took the rare monsters and they actually doubled the rarity bonus per rare mod on a rare monster, which is therefore already going to increase the amount of loot that you get. And on top of that, you now get 10% quantity bonus per rare mod on the rare that you are fighting or defeating. Then on top of that, they also increase the chance of rare monsters having more modifiers. So everything that I was mentioning here before is then also more likely to even happen. This is going to reward us with more gear throughout the campaign, but also throughout the late game. And they also changed the currency, which is also still part of the item changes, so to say. Regal Orbs now drop 40% more often, which is an insane addition, I think, especially early game between like Act 1 to Act 2 Cruel. You really struggle with Regal Orbs. As soon as you get into maps, Regal Orbs become much more common. You get much more rares. You can generate much more Regals. So this is going to make the early game much more enjoyable and also a little bit easier. Then on top of that, Disenchanting 6 mod rares now grants 2 Regal Shards, which is going to help you further get more Regal Orbs in the late game. Then Lesser Jeweler Orbs, which are creating links. They are now dropping 33%. They have now their drop rate increased by 33%. Then they reduced the Chaos Orbs slightly, but that's actually a good thing because they are less valued in what they are actually doing, which then results in the drop pool of rare currency being a little bit less occupied by the Chaos Orbs, causing Exalted Orbs and other wanted items or other wanted currency to drop more often. Then also GCPs, Gem Cutters Prisms, drop rate increased by 500%. I have found 2 and I've been playing, I have a slash played time of like 48 hours at this point almost, where I have only found 2, so that is going to be a great change. And on top of that, they now give 5% quality instead of just 1%. So now you are finding much more of these, and you need way less to actually finish one of your gems. Then map mod changes are also playing into the item changes a little bit here, because they have now increased the rarity mods by 2.5x. So that is going to help you, especially considering all of the changes that I've mentioned before. Then quantity modifiers had an extra rarity added to them, and they removed the bottom tier of some mods, further pushing you up in that quantity and rarity tier every time you're doing a map. Then on top of that, you're also much more likely to roll modifiers that affect drop and pack size, basically playing or increasing everything even more that we've been talking about before. So obviously, the more pack size you have, then all of the things that I mentioned before are also being boosted that way. Then there is an unlucky drop protection, which is a nice way of saying that the unique bosses are not going to drop more than 50% of loot, so you actually get a little bit more items that way. And act bosses and map bosses will always drop at least one rare, so that is going to help you out tremendously during the campaign, but also during maps. It's going to feel much more rewarding to actually clear and kill rares, which especially in the campaign, I feel like has really been a pain point to me. It was most of the time not really necessary to kill rares when you came by them, because, well, the reward wasn't actually that good. Now you really want to kill all of them to get more of the rares due to all of the changes that we have here. Then there was a problem with click to move, which sometimes made you leap slam backwards, which is now being handled, because move only no longer name locks to an enemy that is behind you, for example, and therefore caused you to leap back. Then for the end game maps, they are now fixing a major pain point that I have, which was that you weren't really able to find rare monsters very well. If you reduced the monster count, the remaining monster count, to 50, then suddenly the rare monsters were visible on the map. This has now been changed to 200 monsters remaining, which I think is already going to be an immense change in terms of how mapping itself will feel. Right now with the 50, I do have to be honest, it felt a little bit a despair doing maps in general, but you were doing them because all of the surrounding systems were tons of fun. But yeah, the mapping itself was not so good. I guess with 200 monsters remaining, this is going to feel completely different. On top of that, a very important thing as well is that they are still monitoring map layouts and monster density. So all of my issues that I had with being in maps very early on are basically already being either fixed or monitored. So in my opinion, extremely good changes. I hoped that we are going to get these changes as early as possible, but I was definitely not thinking that it's going to be this early. Also, they're saying that they are not done. All of these changes described in the video or also in the post right here are just fast for them to do and don't require that much work. So therefore they implemented that very quickly. They will still be continuing to monitor feedback and adjust the things as they go. I'm going to be trying out all of these changes in endgame maps today, seeing how I now view all of the impact that these changes have. If you want to be part of that, the Twitch link is going to be down in the description below. And if you like content similar to this, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.